Welcome to the 10 Steps to 10K workshop. Guys, I'm so excited to have you all here. Thank you to everyone who has jumped on Zoom and is joining me live for this, and to anyone who is watching the replay because you couldn't make the live. Thank you for obviously creating the space to sit down and catch up on what we're going to dive into today. Now, I'm so excited to obviously be doing this workshop for you guys because I know that as entrepreneurs, building to our first 10K month, it's one of those first big milestones that we really do try to work towards. So I'm excited to be able to share with you these 10 steps I've broken down for you today. And please do know, I'm not holding back from you guys. I'm laying it all out in front of you. I'm giving you the information that you need. And then it's going to be up to you to go and apply this stuff after today's workshop. So before we do obviously dive into the content of today, I'm going to do a little bit of an introduction of myself in case there is anyone new that is joining us. Maybe this is the first time you've experienced one of my workshops and you're yet to learn much about me. Now, I am a Pisces. I'm also a plant mom, as you can see by my background. There's many, many more plants around the house, and that is for sure. Blue is obviously my favorite color. It is literally everywhere within my business. You don't look into a single corner of my social media and not see the color blue. Now, my story actually started as an architecture grad. So if you didn't know that about me, I went through 4.5 years of study. I got my bachelor's in architecture design, and I also started my master's of architecture design before I decided to drop out of university and quit my very stable job in the architecture industry. And the reason why I did, push all of that aside is because I knew that the path that I was following on was not truly in alignment with me. And I felt like there was more for me to be had in life. So I took the leap. I lent into this, entrepreneurial space, and I started, a mindset coaching business, which has now evolved into a mindset and business alignment coaching business. So really, this coaching journey for me started when I created my podcast. I started the podcast at 20 years old. I was finishing up my bachelor's in architecture. And it was just something that I had always wanted to do. So I decided to lean in. I started the podcast. Initially, it was called the Real Time Podcast. So if you're a real time listener and you've been hanging around that long, then props to you. You're the OGs. But yeah, now it's evolved into the Empower With Them podcast as I did step into the coaching space. My podcast branding really evolved with the direction that I wanted to take my business as well. And then, of course, I started my business at 22 years old. It was at the start of last year. And across 8 months of starting my business, I was able to scale it to 6 figures, which is really what led me into this business coaching space as well, because there was obviously, a need for this sort of guidance. And it was something that sort of came naturally to me in a sense. So I wanted to be able to start sharing with people how they can start doing this as well. So building, this 10 steps to 10K workshop is really going to be the first stepping stone for anyone who might be sitting here today thinking, I want to scale my business to 6 figures. Okay. So this is where it starts. It starts with building to 10K. Okay. Now, if you are yet to check out the podcast, scan this QR code now before we move forward, and that'll take you straight to where you can really select your preferred streaming platform, and then you can start listening. You can become a Empower With Them listener and come along this crazy journey of business and life that we find ourselves going on. So let's start to explore what it is we're going to be learning today. Okay, there is going to be a lot that we are going to be diving into, and my fingers and toes are crossed that my internet is not going to glitch out on me, but please bear with me if it does at any point today. So what we are really going to dive into learning is first and foremost the difference between building and scaling, because you hear a lot of people talking online saying, let's build to 10K, or let's scale to this, let's build to that. And it's really important that you do actually understand the difference between the two, because they are two different things. And we're going to dive into that first and foremost, and then we're going to unpack the 10 steps to build your income to 10K. And that's going to take up the bulk of today's workshop. Now, I haven't timed this workshop, so there is a chance that we will be going over 1 hour today. So if you do have the capacity to stay on, please do. But if not, of course, the recording will be available for you. And then I've also got some exciting workshop opportunities to share with you before we do then dive into an open Q&A session, which will be your opportunity to ask me any question that you want to ask me based off what we've learned about today. Now, you can ask me questions directly connected to your business. You can ask questions directly connected to the content, whatever you feel drawn to ask about. And if you are going to be watching this on Facebook Live as we go through today's session, when we do reach that Q&A portion, I'll ask you to put your questions into the comment section and we'll go through them on this Zoom session anyway. So who's ready? Who's keen to dive in? Put a yes in the chat box or send me some emojis, do something fun. Let me know that you are all ready to dive into the incredible teachings that I'm going to be sharing with you today. And I'm telling you what, guys, it is incredible what I've put together. I was sitting down last night and I wrapped up, obviously fine tuning everything. And I went out to my partner and I said, this is a fucking awesome workshop. So get ready for it. Awesome. Megan's ready. Kayla's ready. Leslie's ready. Heck yes. Love it. Love it. Love it. Okay, so the first thing we're going to tap into today, guys, is the difference between building and scaling. So let me know yes or no in the chat box. Do you know the difference between building and scaling? If you're watching the replay on Facebook, yes or no in the comment section. Do you know the difference between building and scaling? No. Serene said no. What else do we have, guys? Yeses or no's? And I'll tell you what, when I first started my business, I didn't quite know the difference either. Megan said no as well. Alrighty, so sounds like you're all pretty much on the same page of where I was when I started. Kayla said no also. So this is the difference, guys. Building is the initial stages of business whereby you're really building out the systems and the processes that will allow you to grow to your goal. So you're in the building to scale at this stage is how I like to think about it. And then the scaling, well, this happens once all the foundations have been built. It's really where you multiply your results through duplication and delegation to expand what you've already created. So building is phase one. Okay, that's why I say we're going to build to 10K, because we do. We build all the foundations out, and once we get to 10K, then we begin to scale. Then we begin to duplicate and delegate. That's once all the foundations are set, all the systems are in place, then you start outsourcing people to be able to be doing that activity for you so that you can focus on your area of expertise and expand what you've already created. Does that make sense to you guys? Awesome. I'm seeing some head nods. So that's as simple as it is when we're talking about building and scaling. And I just wanted to make note of that so that you guys do understand that when you are working towards, that first 10K month, you are building your income towards that. And then once you reach that 10K point, then from there, you're going to be scaling your company, your business, you're going to be scaling it further. So let's dive in and just get straight down to business surrounding the 10 steps that, you should really be putting in place to build your income to 10K. I hope you're ready to learn them because I am sure I'm ready to teach them. Now, before, of course, we do dive into step one, I want to disclaim to you guys that I am going to focus in specifically on systems that are connected to income producing activity. Okay. So if you see me say the word IPA across any point in this workshop, that means income producing activity. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you to go make a vision board, right? Because how many workshops have you gotten on and they've told you to go make a vision board or go do this and go do that, and it's not actually anything directly connected to making money. So what I'm going to be showing you guys is real business mechanics that you should be putting in place. This is really systemized steps for you to be able to get results. So of course, there will be some elements that maybe aren't included in today's workshop that are, of course, important for building your business. However, for the sake of this workshop, I've condensed it down into 10 essential steps that have helped me see results fast. Okay. So I do want to also encourage you to make sure you stay for the entire workshop so that you do find out all of the 10 steps and how they interconnect with each other. Alrighty, step one, let's do this. So step one, first and foremost, you could have guessed this, I'm sure, it is mindset, okay? And now when we're going to be diving into mindset today, what we're going to be looking at is backing your mission, busting your mindset blocks, and thinking 3 steps ahead. So when I talk about backing your mission, Okay, your business mission, it defines why your company exists or what purpose it serves. Your mission is what will drive you to do the work that will build your business to 10K months. So you need to be connected to your mission, and you need to have a lot of clarity around it. Otherwise, you're going to feel the effects of this in your business. So put in the chat box and let me know, are you crystal clear on what your business mission is? And that may sound like a simple question. You may think, yeah, of course I do. But when you really think about it, do you clearly know what your mission is? Are you able to tell me right here, right now, if I was to point you out and have you unmute, what your mission statement is? Okay, it's a very, very important element. So awesome. We've got Serene who said she's not sure. No worries at all, Serene, because I'm going to break down for you exactly what a mission statement looks like. And from here, you guys can go and start to create your own. So a simple way of looking at it is, by using this sort of sentence stem of my mission is to help, who it is you help, what is the contribution you make, so that what is the impact or what is the outcome, that they're going to get from it. So my mission, for example, is to help entrepreneurs expand their mindset and business so that they can achieve greater consciousness, well-being, and success. So the who is entrepreneurs, the contribution is expand their mindset and business, and then the impact is so that they can achieve greater consciousness, well-being, and success. Are you seeing how this is all breaking down? And so this is really important to have, because if you are not clear on what your mission is, then your audience is going to lack that clarity as well. So that's the first part. Now, the second part is busting your mindset blocks. Because you see, unless you break through the blocks that are within your mindset, so your fears, your limiting beliefs, all of that, you're always going to be hindering your ability to actually grow your business. Now, mindset blocks, we've all experienced them on some sort of level before. And what they can really cause us to do is take inconsistent action, procrastinate, stay within our comfort zones, hold ourselves back, handle failure or rejection negatively, lose motivation, and, the worst of all, can lead us to quitting, right? So it's so important that you do bust through your mindset blocks so that you do not allow yourself to pull yourself out of the entrepreneurial game. And if you're going to be building your business to 10K, it's going to take a solid mindset to do so, because it's not easy. There is struggle, there is challenge. And let me tell you what, once you hit that 10K point, all the struggles and the challenges, they don't just magically disappear, right? They actually grow even bigger, even scarier, even heavier, right? So it's important that in this first step, you're really starting to condition yourself to strengthen and develop a really strong mindset so that when, you do reach that 10K mark, you're able to expand further from there. And something to also remember is your business will only ever grow as much as you grow. So if you are not growing and expanding that mindset of yours, then your business naturally isn't going to be growing either. Now, the third point that I want to touch on when we're looking at step one is to think 3 steps ahead. Okay, think 3 steps ahead. Now, when we're thinking 3 steps ahead, we're looking at the bigger picture. So this is big picture planning. And this is so necessary in business because 1, it allows us to plan and prepare for failure. 2, it allows us to create a clear path to follow forward. And 3, it gives us direction and certainty. So thinking 3 steps ahead is crucial for you and your business. And here are a couple different ways that you can start thinking 3 steps ahead in your business. You can get clear on your 5-year vision. You can create your annual and your quarterly business goals. You can create annual and quarterly marketing and launch strategies. You can brainstorm possible business problems and also solutions. You can also map out your product suite and your client journey to create connections between your offers as well. And that last one's something that we're really going to be tapping into as we do move through today's session as well, and exploring how you can be mapping out your product suite to really strengthen your ability to build to that 10K mark. So how do you feel about step 1? Feeling pretty good about it? Awesome, awesome, awesome. So let's dive into step 2 then. Okay. And of course, if you feel like you can't take down notes fast enough, this recording is saved in our workshop community, so you can watch it back as many times as you like. So step 2 is looking at your product, right? Because if you want to build to 10K, you need to have a product, because you're not just going to magically get there on your own. So what is the offer that you are actually selling? You need to get really clear on this. So who does it serve? What problem does it solve? How does it solve the problem? What are the deliverables? And is there an actual demand for your offer? And that last point is super important, guys, because so many people do come into this space. They get excited. They're like, yep, I'm starting a business, get into creation mode, but they fail to do their market research. So you can create the most beautiful, the most perfectly packaged product, but if there is no demand for it, if there is no need for it, it's not going to sell. Okay. Now, if someone has to choose between something they want versus something they need, which do you think they're most likely to invest their money into? The one that they need, right? We want a pair of shoes, but if we need to pay for our electricity bill, we're going to pay for that electricity bill instead of getting that new pair of gym shoes, right? So this is really important to bear in mind, is the offer that you are producing something that people want and need, right? We're allowed to have that want element there, but we need to have that need element there. So when we are creating our offers, there's a couple of things I want you to think about. First and foremost, how does your offer fit your business model? And this is so important, because if you want to create a business model for yourself that creates time freedom, then you're not going to be, creating an offer that takes away all that time freedom, right? So there's 4 different types of business models that you really can be leaning into. The first one is done for you. So this is a full service offer where you do all the work for the client. So we're really looking at an agency style offer, where this one is most commonly seen, marketing agencies or social media management agencies, right? Where they come in and they do all the work for their clients. The second type is consulting, and this is really looking at that one-to-one private high proximity support. So this might be a coach, this might be a mentor, this could be in the fitness space, the mindset space, the business space, whatever level you're consulting on. You could even be a marketing consultant and come in and work with someone on a one-to-one level, and instead of it being done for you, they go and do it for themselves. The third type of business model that we offer is done with you. And this is really the low proximity group. So high proximity is looking at consulting. It's that one-to-one connection, right? So done with you is a little bit lower proximity because it is in a group setting. And generally this is a hybrid delivery model as well. So if you guys are familiar with my Aligned Coaches Academy, this is a done with you style program, right? And the awesome thing about this is that creates time and space for you, because you're working on a one-to-many level within the one setting. And then the fourth business model that you could be considering for yourself is products or courses. Now, this one's no proximity, right? This is, say, for example, I package up this workshop and I mark it as a $99 product. People can buy it and people can sit down and they just do it in their own time. There's no proximity to me physically. So this is usually a lower tier offer, or it could be like a passive income course that maybe is a little bit higher ticket, but this is generally recorded content. And because it is pre-recorded, it is generally a lower price tag. So that's the first thing I want you to consider, is how does your offer fit your business model? So which of these which of these structures really stands out to you the most? Now, the second thing to consider is, how does your offer match your business goals? So this is coming back to, what do you want your business to create for you in your life? And I'm a big advocate of building your business around your life instead of building your life around your business. Okay. So this is where you think about, well, if your business goal is to create more time for personal life, for travel, for adventure, for this, time freedom element, then you need to make sure that your offer supports that. So doing a done for you or a consulting offer on a very high level, let's say, for example, you're working with, 10 to 15 one-to-one consulting clients per week. Where's all your time? That doesn't fit this goal of yours to create that time freedom for yourself. So maybe you work with a couple one-to-one private clients, and then you do more of the done with you or the products and courses that are more passive offers, right? Because that's what creates the space for you. Now, something else to think about is your offer scalable, sustainable, and also profitable? 3 words here: scalable, sustainable, and profitable. Scalable, well, this is what is the capacity to expand and grow that your offer provides. Let me tell you now, one-to-one consulting isn't necessarily scalable. Yes, you can increase your prices on it. Yes, you can increase your income in that sense, but you're always going to be capped at working with a certain amount of people. But if you look at done with you, for example, that is scalable because it's still that one chunk of time that you are dedicating each week, and the amount of people, the volume of people that can be inside of that container is so expansive. So is your offer scalable? Is your offer sustainable? So are you going to be able to maintain it in the long term? Is this something that you're going to be able to have business endurance for? And then, of course, the profitability. Is it going to make you more money than what it's going to be costing you? Now, when we're looking at the done for you being a full service offer, this is the agency type work, which means that you have team members that are physically a part of the process of getting that work done. So if you are not charging enough for that done for you service to be able to cover all those that time and the hours that your team are putting into producing the output, then you're not going to be profiting, right? So you need to make sure that your offer is profitable. Same with one-to-one consulting, or done with you and products or courses. When you build out a team, when you bring in a VA or when you bring in an assistant, right? You need to make sure that your products are making more money than what you are actually spending in them. Now, the final thing I want you to think about is your offer live launched or evergreen? Okay. So when I say this, is it something that is constantly running? Is evergreen? Is it constantly ongoing and you can always enroll people into it? Or do you need to do specific live launches for it? And say, for example, every 3 months, you do a live launch. Now, with this as well, I want you to make note of whether or not your offer is lower ticket or higher ticket. And the lower ticket offers are generally great for bigger audiences because of the quantity, the volume that those audiences have. So the higher ticket, however, if you are new to the business space and you're coming in and you're wanting to scale to that 10K, I would really suggest that you do look at the higher ticket offers as the direction that you lean in, because, then you can focus on quality rather than quantity clients. Now, when we're looking at pricing, moving forward from our offer, we really need to consider different things because different outcomes equal different prices. So you need to consider the return on investment, the experience you have, the demand for it, the time you put into it, all of it, and so much more influences the prices. And when we're looking at return on investment, mindset, business, income, health, like all of these things are aspects of return on investment. Income alone is not the only return that someone gets from what they invest. So what is the return that they get from the offer that you provide? A few other things that I want you to consider when it comes to pricing is, what is your hourly rate? What is the estimated time that you will spend on that offering client? How much have you invested into your own development? And what are the costs associated with operating your business? Because you need to make sure that your pricing reflects all of this. And furthermore, it also needs to reflect your offer and your business goals. So making sure that you're not undervaluing the services you're providing and making sure you've done the math to ensure that your pricing matches your targets. So speaking of that, you need to know your numbers, guys. Okay, you need to know your numbers. I posted a reel on this the other day, and if that was the first that you've heard of knowing your numbers, then make sure you listen closely to this. What do your numbers need to look like to actually achieve your goal? You see, if your goal is a 10K month, then what I want you to think about is something like this. You can bring in 2 clients at $4,200 each. You could bring in 4 clients at $2,100 each, 6 clients at $1,400, 8 clients at $1,050, or 10 clients at $480. So you see, once we do that breakdown and we figure out how many clients we actually need to be able to hit that target, all of a sudden we have a clear goal that we are working towards in our month. No longer are we just working towards a 10K month. We're working towards signing X amount of clients to achieve that 10K month. And just a little note on this as well is if you're focusing, like, are you wanting to focus on recurring revenue or single sales? Okay, because if you're wanting to focus on having, guaranteed 10K months on repeat, you really want to be focusing in on that recurring revenue and having clients signing for extended terms. But if you're looking for like those paid in full sales, then, you're working towards that specific target each month. Making sense? Awesome. So the final thing I want to talk about quickly on this step is your value ladder. Okay. And this is how your products stack. So do you have a value ladder in place in your business right now? So how does the value of your product suite ascend, and what does your client journey actually look like? So I've put a little visual here for you. When you're climbing the value ladder, we start with the free products, those bottom tiers, the lower ticket stuff like workshops, small products, memberships, courses, all of that. Then we move up to the lower ticket rung, which is like paid memberships or small products. And then we move up to the mid ticket, which is that, one-to-many group academies, courses, programs done with you. And then we have the high ticket, which is the one-to-one or the done for you. So you see how the value of this ladder ascends. And this also reflects your client journey as well, because when someone first enters your business and has their first touch point with you, it's likely going to be through a free product. It's likely going to be through a workshop, or it's going to be through your content, or it's going to be through a free downloadable. And then from there, the journey ascends for them. So you need to be clear on what that journey looks like so you know how to deliver it. And that, guys, that wraps up step 2. Okay, that wraps up step 2. So give me a thumbs up or give me a yes if you are following along with what I'm putting down so far. Amazing, amazing. So now we're going to lean straight into step 3. This is looking at your branding, okay? So your messaging and your ideal client. So when we're talking about messaging, again, your brand message, it refers to the tone of voice or the way that you communicate, right, with your audience, and the main messages that your brand represents. So a brand message, it really helps people perceive your brand identity. So I want you to start to think about, what is your brand message? What does your brand message look like? Someone was to come and look over at your account and see what messages you're putting out there, what do you think comes up for you? So communicating well is very important when it comes to messaging, just so that you can ensure that your brand will deliver the value that you are proposing to your audience, and that there's also a quick association between what's being expressed and the company. And I'm going to explain this through an example on the next slide as well. Apple. One of the best and most simplest brands to use as an example of really clear messaging. Now, if you guys saw that logo, you'd know what that company is, right? Amazing. And you see that text as well. And you already know, okay, this is like the style, the simplicity, the cleanliness of Apple. So Apple's brand messaging is clear, right? Clarity, like crystal clear in their messaging. It provides sophistication, minimalist design, innovative technology, and enhanced value. Would you agree that each of them represent Apple when you think about it? Now, if you're an Android user, Samsung user, you might disagree, but that's some bias that's coming in there. We need to separate from our bias with this. So with Apple, the company's consumers are nearly a fan club, and this is understandable because of the impact that Apple has on lifestyle. And that's another element of Apple's messaging, is the lifestyle that it offers, right? So in all of their campaigns, it's a very succinct messaging, very clear, very direct, very simple, not too casual, but not, too fancy or elaborate. And it's very much focused on aligning simplicity with functionality. So that's Apple's messaging broken down for you. And now we're going to look at my messaging to give you a more relatable example. So when you look at Empower Them, it's professional, but not necessarily formal. The way that I always like to describe my messaging and my branding is that if smart casual attire was put into a brand, was put into a business, that would be me, right? Go out for a fancy dinner and they say it's smart casual. That's Empower with them. There's also gender neutrality through all of my branding because of the use of blues that I use. Previously, if you're following me last year, you would know that there was a lot more pinks and yellows and, a lot more feminine colors. But in my evolution of my branding stepping into this year, one of my messages that I wanted to translate is the gender neutrality of my brand. And so I've reflected that now through my imagery, through my colors, through all of that. Another message that I sort of put out is business and mindset made fun. And what I want you guys to put in the chat box is any keywords that come to mind when you look at my branding and when you think of Empower with them messaging. What are the first words that come to your mind? Pop them in the chat box now and let me see what it is that comes up for you. Strong. Love that. I'm so glad you said that, Kayla, because that is one of the words that I've put behind my branding. Empowerment, growth, yes, optimistic, love it. And these are all such aligned words, such aligned keywords that you're sharing there. And additional words to add to that would be empowering, which was said, relatable, energizing, fun, carefree, aligned, just to name a few. Okay, this list can go on and on and on. But can you see how these simple words connect so deeply to my brand messaging and your relationship that you were generating with my brand as well? So I want you to start to think about different words that can really represent your brand messaging and then start to build out your branding around those words. And now what we're going to do is move on to our ideal client section of step 3. Okay. Now you hear every business coach say you need to know who your ideal client is, and that's for a very good reason. But I'm going to really share with you guys a different perspective on this than maybe what you've heard before. Okay. So without having this complete clarity around who your ideal client is, you're not going to know how to attract or sell to them. That is just plain and simple knowledge. So you need to have complete clarity so that it can guide you with the programs you design and the offer you put out, the content you deliver, and also the language that you use. Now, you might be sitting there thinking, as I said, I already know this, but I still have not made it to 10K. I've been told 1,000 times over that I need to know who my ideal client is, and that's not changing my income at all. So drop me us in the chat box if this is you, or give me a thumbs up if you can relate to that on some level. Okay, because what I'm going to share with you right now is one thing that not all business coaches tell you about your ideal client that might be holding you back from scaling your income further. Awesome. There's a couple yeses here, so I know this is going to be relevant for you. What you need to do is identify how big the gap is between you and your ideal client. So what do I mean by this? Here's an example. You, the new business owner, and me, the 6-figure business owner. Do you see the gap in between? That's a pretty extensive gap, right? Because of the fact that there's $100,000 and upwards in revenue difference, as well as, over a year and a bit's experience also. So it's understandable that because of these factors, a gap has been created. But why does this gap matter? Why is this something we need to recognize? You see, the gap is created when we as the service provider become disconnected from where our ideal clients are at and start using language that is further ahead than what they're looking for. And this is so common to happen when you experience some sort of growth yourself, which really expands you further past the point of what is being taught to your ideal client. So to sort of make a little bit more sense to you, when I first entered my business, the way that the language that I would naturally use would be so much closer to the language that you use where you're at now, right? So at that point, the gap was much smaller. But as my business has grown and as I've grown, the gap has become bigger because the language that I use at this next level of my business is different to the language you use at the level of your business that you are at now. So what we want to do is we want to shrink or expand the gap, depending on what you choose to do, to be more directly connected with our ideal client. And so we can do this on one hand by putting ourselves in our ideal client's shoes to connect back to understanding their current struggles. So I can bring myself closer towards you guys by focusing back in on what it looks like, what it feels like, how it is to be at that initial point in your business. Or we can change our ideal client and our product to actually start aligning with the next level that we can provide. Okay, so you can either shrink the gap and come back to that initial ideal client that you have, or if you would rather move in the opposite direction, you can then start leaping forward and using that next level language, changing your offers, changing your products to serve the next level of client that's aligned with the position that you are in now. Okay. So does that make sense to you guys? And does that shine light on maybe an area that you weren't so aware of, when it does come to your ideal client work? So just a couple of key reflection points to help you get the clarity on your ideal client is getting clear on their gender, their age demographic, nationalities, occupations, their struggles, their fears, and their goals. And the reason why we want to do this is because once we know these things, we then know how we can create an offer that is aligned with their needs and also their language. And this is important, right? Because if you want to be serving both males and females, but the language that you use and the branding that you do is only in alignment with the female demographic, then again, you're disconnected from your ideal client and you need to come back and you need to reconnect with these specific things so that you can create a new strategy moving forward. And with that said, guys, that wraps up step 3. So we're going to dive straight into step 4 because of course we've got a fair few steps ahead still and we really want to smash them all out today. If you do have any questions that are coming up for you as we move through this, please make note of them and we'll answer all of them in the Q&A section at the end. So let's look at step 4. Step 4 is all about your social media strategy. So what we're going to look at is content that converts and trust and authority building. Okay. If you want to build your business to that 10K month point, you need to make sure you have a solid and sound social media strategy in place. So when it comes to content, there are 4 things I want you to keep in mind and in this order as well. Okay. Value, clarity, structure, virality. Okay. So value, well, this is your number one priority to deliver for your ideal client through your content because we want to oversaturate them with value, with resources, with information that's actually going to connect with them and is actually going to serve them. So I want you to think about how you can educate, right? What can you teach them? How can you relate? What personal story can you share with them? How can you help them? What can you solve or answer? And how can you motivate them? Okay, how can you inspire them to take the action they need to take, to do the things, to create the change that they want for themselves? Then the second point is clarity. A confused mind never buys. So you must first be clear on your message or the solution that your audience is looking for so that they can be clear on it also. And you can get clear on these things by having consistency across your business branding and messaging, a set of key pillars or areas that you can build your content around. Okay, so these are 2 simple ways to really get that clarity around your content. And once you've found that clarity, then it's going to be easy to build out. And what I personally like to do is get a big piece of paper and do a brainstorm, right? Create a big mind map, draw lots of arrows, think about all the different pillars I want. Do I want mindset? Do I want business? Do I want spirituality? Do I want anything else? Right? Think about all the pillars that connect to you and excite you, and then build your content out around that. Then the next step, of course, is structure. And this one, guys, is extremely important. In order to convert your content into clients, you need to structure it to do so. It needs to intentionally be structured for conversion. And the simple framework that I like to follow is wow, how, and CTA. And I do this for my captions and I do this for my stories as well. So if you watch this workshop and then you go back and watch me over this next week with my Instagram, this is what I do for all of them. The wow is a catchy or powerful headline that speaks to a specific point, the what that your ideal client is looking for. So how my client made $10,000 this month. That's what you're all looking for, right? So that's what connects. And it is also, you need to make sure that, if you're going to say how my client made $10,000 this month, that's also a truthful statement. You would have had to have helped a client to make $10,000 a month. Otherwise, you're putting out lies to your audience. The how, which is the second piece, is then sharing key points of how to achieve the wow. So my client did A, B, and C in order to achieve that. Then the call to action, which is the most important part, okay? The call to action is to direct your audience to the next steps. So if you're ready to hit your first 10K month, join me at my 10 steps to 10K workshop. See how it all connects? You catch their attention through speaking to what they're looking for. You then share how they can start achieving these goals as well. And then you give them a solution. If they don't want to go take those action steps and move forward on their own, give them the solution that is going to help them to get support, to get guidance, to have you help them solve their problem. And then the last thing to consider is, of course, virality. We know that TikTok is like the best platform to go viral on. Instagram Reels are really helpful for that now as well. But virality isn't the number one thing to have in mind when creating content. Value is. So always remember that. But virality is helpful when we're wanting to reach large audiences and have mass lead generation opportunities. So viral content is that content that gets shared on an extremely high level. That those reels, those videos that get over 1 million views, that is virality. Now, to create viral content, there is 3 things to keep in mind, and that's the shareability, the relatability, and the relevance. So shareability refers to the desire for your audience to share it. Relatability refers to your audience, how well your audience can connect with it. And then the relevance is how aligned with your niche, your offer, and your ideal client is it? Okay. So there are 3 keys to keep in mind there. Now, the next thing I want to touch on is trust and authority. Building trust and authority through your content is going to enable you to be positioned as an expert, as that go-to person, to convert clients with more ease and less objections, to give clients more confidence when investing in you, and will enable to reduce touch points before making a sale. Okay, so when we have that trust and authority there, all of a sudden it becomes easier to sell. And we want to build that trust and authority through our content and the way that we show up online. So you can do that by developing rapport and genuine connections, sharing your story, sharing high value content, providing various touch points, sharing testimonials, showing up live, creating free offerings, running challenges, being present, okay? Now, one of the easiest ways to establish trust and authority, guys, is just by hosting a free workshop. So if you're not doing them already, go and do it. Why? Because me being the workshop host gives me a level of authority as the person who is educating those who are tuning in. And those who are tuning in across the duration of the workshop are developing more trust in the presenter because they're actually seeing the value that's being delivered. So start doing workshops left, right, and center in your businesses, guys. It's going to help you so much with building that trust and authority, which is going to help you so much with building to that 10K mark. So if you're brand new to the entrepreneurial world, these are 3 things to implement immediately to build that trust and authority. Commit yourself to posting 1 piece of content a day. Share your personal results frequently on a weekly basis at least, and host monthly or bi-weekly workshops. If you do these 3 things, I guarantee you are going to build more trust and authority with your audience. And with that said, that brings us to step 5 now. We're getting to the juicy stuff. You guys are doing awesome so far. Give me a big yes in the chat box if you're enjoying the content that you're receiving right now and it is helpful for you. So I know that your time is going to good use. Amazing. I'm glad to hear Leslie and Kayla, Georgia. Amazing. Awesome. Thanks guys for being so committed to seeing this through. Awesome, Megan. Glad to hear. So let's smash out the next 5 then, guys. Step 5, lead generation. Okay. This is like, I cannot express enough how important this step is. Okay. If you're not currently implementing lead generation strategies into your business, then listen closely to what I'm going to share. No lead generation strategy equals no leads, which equals no clients. It's an absolute no-brainer. Okay. So you should have multiple lead generation strategies in place at any one time. Okay. And this is the direct income producing activity portion of converting your audience to clients. Okay. And we're going to go over 3 steps that are involved in this: lead sourcing, lead setting, and lead closing. And these 3 are the next 3 steps we're going to be looking at: step 5, step 6, and step 7. Okay. So first and foremost, lead generation. Oh, that was a repeated side. Lead generation, element 1 is sourcing. Okay. So sourcing involves you physically finding your leads. It requires genuine and meaningful connections to be made. So here's a simple daily sourcing strategy that you can do. And yeah, it's simple. And yeah, maybe you've heard of this before, but why am I sharing it? Because it works. Okay. So create a source list of all the places that you could find your ideal clients. So I like to do this in just an Excel spreadsheet. I have accounts, locations, podcasts, all different columns, and then I enter all those accounts into those columns. Then you go through each of the sources to find engaged accounts. So you go through your list and you go, okay, cool. The Empower with Them podcast, that's on my podcast source list. Let's go to the Empower with Them podcast page and start sourcing through that page. See if there's anyone that's aligned with me. Maybe you're in the fitness industry, so Empower with Them might not be the most aligned fit, but maybe there's some fitness influencer that you do follow and you know that they have a really engaged audience and a very aligned community. So that would be on your source list, and you'd go through and you'd go and find engaged accounts on that profile. Then what you do is you leave a meaningful comment on the recent post of these accounts, or you can reply to their stories. You know, you engage with them in some way, but in a meaningful way, leaving some value for them. And in order for this to be effective, then you need to make sure that you are providing value, because if you're not providing value, they're not going to follow you back. If they're not going to follow you back, you're not going to be able to move on to the next step. Okay. Once they follow you, you can then take that next step of setting. But what we want to do is we want to, through doing these engagements, through doing these comments, we want to put ourselves in front of them. We want to put our accounts, our profile in front of them and have them click on it and go, wow, I really love what this Empower with Them chick's offering. I really love what this Kayla chick's offering. I really love what this Kelsey chick's offering. I'm going to keep following her because there's so much value here and I'd love to learn some things from her. So your content's going to really, really help you with that lead generation as well when you are doing that sourcing, because this is a less hands-on approach. It's less hands-on in the sense you're not having to go and physically find accounts to engage on. However, you need to have really strong content in order for this to work. So this is the attraction marketing element, right? Where you are creating that shareable content that people will reshare, that will put you in front of new audiences and attract those ideal clients like a moth to a light. So when we are looking at content, you know, we want that purpose. You know, the purpose of that is to be speaking directly to your ideal client, their wants and their needs. Okay. And come back to what we spoke about previously on value, clarity, structure, and virality. And that's really going to help you to do so. And then, of course, when we're looking at engagement, okay, engagement interconnects with your content. So you're creating content, you know, you're putting it out there to your audience, and then the goal is to encourage your audience to be engaged on that content also. So we use engagement to actually draw out prospective clients from the audience that we have or from the new audiences that we're reaching. And once we have these people coming out, we can then start moving forward into the setting stage. So these different elements I've shown you are all ways to start to generate those leads. Now, you can encourage engagement by doing these simple things. You can use call to actions. You can go live to connect directly with your viewers. And you can also use polls and other engagement features. And here are different examples of each that, you can take note of and really action and implement into the approach that you are taking to your captions, to your reels, to your stories, to your lives, to your polls, to all of it. And then the final thing that I do want to touch on when we are looking at sourcing is using magnets. Okay, magnets work similarly to the way that content does, as it utilizes that attraction marketing strategy. But the purpose of it is to offer an in-depth solution to their problem for free or at a low ticket price to draw in quality leads. So examples: workshops, challenges, downloadable products, content, email flows, right? So you can tell now that this workshop in itself is, in a way, a lead magnet. Why? Because I have a specific topic I'm sharing. I have a depth of solution that I'm providing, and therefore anyone who is looking for that solution is going to watch or come along to this workshop. So you see how it works? You're providing value in exchange for having opt-ins. So that's the difference between a lead magnet and other lead generation options, is people opt into your magnet. People say, yes, I want you to provide me with this resource. Therefore, you need to really ensure that your lead magnet is directly connected to your main offer. Otherwise, you're going to have people opting into something that doesn't even connect back to your overall, business plan, business goals. And so that one summarizes step 5. So now we get to move into step 6, which is the lead setting portion. Okay, step 1 is sourcing. Well, I shouldn't say step 1. The 3-step process that we're going over in these next steps was sourcing, which we've covered, and now lead setting, okay, which again is extremely important, because you can generate all the leads you want, but if you're not converting those leads, if you're not setting those leads, they're never going to become clients. So setting involves having conversations with your leads and identifying if your service can support them. Okay, so this requires rapport building, qualifying, and of course, pitching. So what I'm going to share with you guys is exactly what you can start doing with the way that you approach the flow of your DMs to make sure that you're connecting, you're qualifying, and then you're booking. Okay. So there's a strategy behind effective DMs, and this involves 1, building rapport and connection, okay? Getting to know them on a human level. Then you learn about your lead. You learn about their business or their goals or whatever interconnects with the the product that you offer. Then you identify their struggles. From there, you can see if your offer aligns with the solution that they need. And the most important step is asking if they're looking for help. We don't just want to give a solution to anyone who doesn't want it, right? So qualifying them for your services by asking if they're looking for support with that struggle that they have. And then the final step is offering a discovery call or pitching your solution, depending on the level of product you sell or the way you like to approach sales. Some people sell in the DMs. I personally like to sell over discovery calls. So then that's when you take that next step there. So things to not do in the DMs, guys: do not coach in the DMs, do not lead with your product, and do not pitch before creating a connection, because that's a cold pitch, and cold pitches are so much harder to sell. Okay. Now, when it comes to actually scheduling, you can schedule a discovery call, whether you're in network marketing, whether you're running a service-based business that is one that you've created yourself. You can have discovery calls for any type of business. And this is really an opportunity to connect with your potential client to see if they really do qualify for what it is that you're going to be offering. So I never sell any of my products without having a discovery call. And the reason for that is because I don't want to sell a product to someone that is not aligned with them. Why? Because if I sell someone into one of my programs and it's not the right aligned fit for them, they're not going to get results, or they're not going to have the best client experience, which then is going to be a poor reflection on my product or on my business, right? So I always have discovery calls to qualify. Now, when you're scheduling, to streamline your scheduling process, create a Calendly account, create a specific calendar for your discovery calls, offer your warm leads the opportunity to have a chat with you via the phone, and then send them your Calendly scheduler link to have them actually book a time. Okay. And in step 9, which we're going to be approaching soon, I'm going to teach you how you can use your sourcing and your DM numbers to actually secure your 10K month. Okay. So this is really important to hang in there for. But that summarizes the setting portion. And let me just share with you something now, guys. When you are sourcing and when you are setting, maybe you're doing these things right now and you're not reaching your 10K months. Let me tell you this, start doing more. Okay. Start doing more. Send more, put more comments out there, send more DMs, have more conversations, create more relationships, right? If you're not seeing the results from the activity you're doing now, start doing more of it. Okay. The more conversations you have, the more calls you'll get booked. The more calls you get booked, the more clients you're going to sign. If you're not booking calls, you're not going to sign clients. It's plain simple. But if you're not having those DM conversations, you're not going to be booking the calls. And you're not going to be having those DM conversations if you're not going out and looking for your ideal client. So do those things, guys, and do more of them. Alrighty. We're starting to get to the end now. We've got 3 more steps to go. Thank you for hanging in, everyone. So step 7 is all about mastering your sales. You are now a master of sourcing. You're now a master of DM conversations and scheduling. And now you need to become a master of sales. Because if you do not master the art of sales, you're not going to be selling anything. You're not going to be closing anything, right? So we're going to look at 2 things. We're going to look at your enrollment call flow, and we're also going to look at translating value. So in order to make 10K, you need to be able to sell 10K. It's plain and simple, plain and simple. So what I want to hear from you guys in the chat box is, do you feel confident in being able to sell 10K? Or do you feel like there's still some work that needs to be done on your sales skills? Let me know in the chat box. And if you're watching the live replay in Facebook, comment it into the comment section. And the thing is, guys, a lot of the time when you are new to the business space, yeah, you suck at sales. Why? Because you've never done it before. My sales experience before being in the online business world was as a checkout chick at FoodWorks when I was in high school. So we're not born with the natural ability to be able to sell. But the thing about selling is there is strategy behind it. Okay. And you can learn strategy. You can learn anything. Okay. So it's good to hear that a couple of you do need work on your sales skills. So this will be really helpful for you. So some keynotes that I want you to really cement into your brain is sales is not sleazy. Okay. Sales is not sleazy at all. It's essential for your business. If you are not selling in your business, you are running a very energy and time consuming hobby. Okay. So sales in business is not sleazy. So you need to remove that limiting belief from your mind. Now, sales does involve psychology and strategy. There's a lot of psychology behind sales and understanding, like, you know, what someone needs to hear or feel in order to be able to make an investment. And again, there's strategy which helps you bring a client to that point, a prospect to that point, I should say. So sales requires you to also have confidence in yourself. If you guys are hopping on enrollment calls or you're trying to sell in the DMs and you don't have confidence in what it is you're selling, that lack of confidence is going to be translated across to the person who is obviously looking to buy. Okay. Confidence sells. You need to believe in what you're selling. Otherwise, no one's going to be able to put their trust and their belief and their confidence in you either. And the final note that I want to make to you guys is the person doing the most talking doesn't have the control. Okay. So if you're answering all the questions on your enrollment calls, guess who has the control? It's the prospect. Okay. So if you don't have the control, you're not going to make a sale either. So if you've ever run an enrollment call before, or if you've never run one before, or maybe you have run one, but you don't have a very good flow for it, I want you to use this flow, this step-by-step approach. And this is literally the approach that I use in all of my sales calls as well. So you're welcome. Okay. You're welcome. You can send me a little message on Instagram and say, thanks, Sam. that enrollment call flow you gave me has helped me sign this client, and I'll celebrate it with you because this method works. So the first step you want to do is build rapport. Okay, building rapport on the conversation, getting to know them, getting to understand their life, getting to understand where they're at, creating a connection, a meaningful relationship. Then you, as the person running the call, needs to define how the call will flow. So you just give them a simple explanation of, hey, so just so you know, the way this call is going to flow today is I'm going to really help you get clear on what your struggles are, what your challenges are, and also what your goals are. And once we do that, we can then figure out what the gap is and see if there's any solution that I can provide you moving forward. Does that sound good to you? Something super simple. Doesn't need to be overcomplicated. Then the third step is understanding their struggles. And this is where you need to dive deep. You need to dive deep into understanding their pain points, understanding their challenges, and understanding what's not working for them. So you have the clarity, but also so they have the clarity. And this is super important because if they're not self-aware of what's not working for them right now, then they don't see the need to invest in you, right? So you need to help them recognize where there is a need for support. And a want as well, where that want is as well. Once you've looked at that, then you identify their goals. So where do they want to be? Where do they want to be in 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, whatever time frame is relevant for you to understand what it is they're wanting to work towards. And you can connect that directly to your packages if you want the timeline of the package that you offer. But you want them to identify their goals, because when they can clearly see what it is they want, but they can also clearly see why it is they don't have it right now, then they're more inclined to be open to explore the solutions that will help them get their desires and overcome their challenges. Making sense? So this is where that psychology factor comes into play. So then step 5 is seeing if your solution can bridge the gap before step 6, which is pitching your solution and sharing how the transformation that you can provide them. And that's as simple as an enrollment call should be. Now, these calls can run for approximately 60 to 120 minutes. I would say always keep it under 120 minutes. Generally, I have my enrollment call run for 60 minutes because of the depth of understanding I like to go into surrounding their mindset and their businesses. And then the remaining 30 minutes is often that enrollment conversation, handling any objections, and also processing payments, right? So factoring that time in there as well. And here are a few tips to help you with your enrollment calls. Create a script, lay out your pitch so that you have it to reference, be confident in your delivery, share your price, and then shut up. Okay, and I mean that. I tell all my clients, share your price, shut up. Sit there, hold a little stress ball, drink some water, shove something in your mouth so you can't talk, whatever you need to do, okay? But after you share your price, if you're going to keep on talking, justifying that price, going off on all these tangents, you're not giving your prospect the opportunity to be able to sit, process, and digest, okay? So you just sit there. I just sit there in silence, drink some water. You're going to wait. I wait until they then come to me and tell me their thoughts, so share your price and say, what are your thoughts on that? And then shut up. And yes, Megan, a discovery call is the same as an enrollment call. When I say enrollment call, I like to, depending on who I'm talking to, I use different language of whether it's going to be an enrollment call or a discovery call. If it's someone who's maybe not, not fully ready to enroll and they just want to learn about it, then I use the language of discovery call. But if it's someone who is like, yeah, like I want to work with you, let's have a call, I'm like, cool, let's have an enrollment call and we'll go over everything in the enrollment process. So you can use either one that you like. Be prepared to handle objections, guys. Focus on helping the prospect find a solution. Let the client do 90% of the talking, and practice pitching to other people before you start pitching yourself. If you action those tips, you're going to go far. You're going to find yourself reaching these 10K months in no time. But you see, in order to have a successful enrollment call, you need to have successfully translated the value of your offer. So that's what I want to dive into real quickly with you now, is the 4 value pillars that will help you close more discovery calls. Okay. So the first is dream outcome, then perceived likelihood of success, time delay, and effort and sacrifice. And you want to demonstrate how your offer meets each of these value pillars when you're in that session. And if you don't do discovery calls, then that's fine. But make sure you're translating these value pillars in your content, in the DMs, however you manage your sales. So the dream outcome is, what is the exact dream outcome that your client wants, and how does your offer deliver that? Okay. So what is the transformation that you provide, and how does that connect to what the client actually wants? The perceived likelihood of achievement. But what is the perceived likelihood that they're actually going to get that outcome from the product that you offer? Right? When there's a higher perceived likelihood of achievement, people are more inclined to take that step forward. So what we really want to do with those two, guys, is increase the likelihood of each. But then we want to do the opposite with these. We want to decrease the likelihood of each. So we want to decrease the time delay, which means we're increasing the speed that someone can get the results and translating how we do that for them, and then the final one is decreasing the effort and sacrifice that's involved. How much effort does someone have to put in, and how much would they have to sacrifice to get their dream outcome, right? So there's different levels of effort and sacrifice for everything. There's a lower level of effort to show up for this workshop than what they would be required to show up for my business academy, right? But the time delay for you to be able to reach that 10K month by showing up to this workshop would still take you longer than the time delay if you were a part of the business academy, right? Because the deeper level of support and the deeper level of resources fast tracks your ability to reach that goal. So you can start to see how this value equation really works. So I want you to apply these pillars to your enrollment calls and really think about these three factors. What is the dream outcome that you're selling? What can you do to increase the perceived likelihood of achievement? And how can you lower the time delay, effort, and sacrifice that it takes for someone to achieve their goal? And if you can successfully do these things, then you're going to be having no troubles with enrolling clients into your program and hitting that 10K goal. Now we've only got a couple steps to go, guys. We've got step 8, which is your client onboarding and success. Now, the reason I've included this one into this 10-step process is because you need to ensure the success of your clients if you want to ensure the success of your business, right? We don't want to build to 10K on weak foundations, with poor client journeys, poor client results. We want to build to 10K by delivering a high quality service that efficiently onboards and supports your clients through their journey. Okay, so making sure that you have these processes to help your clients get quality results, which will get you testimonials and also get you referrals, which will help you in growing your clientele. So we're going to look at a couple different processes here. And the first one is your client onboarding. If you don't have a client onboarding process at the moment, then this is a simple one you can look at in your discovery call, making sure you have these things ready, okay? Your contracted agreement, or do the contracting of the agreement on the call. An ability to process payments simply, having a link available or having, bank details ready to go to send and have the payment processed immediately. Recording all the client details you need, setting clear getting started tasks. So once they get off that call, they feel like they're already moving forward, and then scheduling your first session, locking it in if applicable. Post-discovery call, send your clients an onboarding email, lay out all the information, on that call, on that discovery session, there's a lot that's gone down. And so maybe they're a little frazzled, right? Send it all to them, have it all cleanly laid out so they know their next steps. And then send your client contract and have it signed and returned before you start working together. And these are simple client onboarding procedures that are going to completely up-level your business and your client's experience that they have through you, which is ultimately going to get you more referrals and get your clients better results and you better testimonials. This one as well, client success management. Well, making sure that you're providing the necessary resources to actually support your client's success. Making sure that you are checking in on their progress and having checkpoints to do so. Is there any level of external support you need to provide them? Are they clear on their expectations of the partnership? And how will you track client results? Okay, this is all a part of your client success management procedure. And then the final one is testimonials. So if you've been working with clients so far in your businesses, then I urge you to all go and reach out to these clients and get testimonials, whether they were free clients or paying clients, or maybe they just did a challenge with you. Get testimonials. If you've never worked with anyone before, get a free client or host a free challenge and get testimonials from that. But testimonials are going to strengthen the trust and authority that you have with your audience, and ultimately, increase the amount of sales that you are able to make. So asking questions when getting testimonials, like what was their experience like? What growth or results have they noticed? How has working with you transformed them? And is there any feedback they'd like to provide? And that last one's really good because that tells you how you can improve your services moving forward. And with that said, we're up to our final 2 steps, guys. You're doing so great. Give me a yes in the chat box if you are still following along with what I'm sharing with you today. I know this has been a lot. We have dived probably deeper than you've dove before into workshops like this, but I wanted to pack it with as much value as I could. Awesome. I'm so glad you're all enjoying it. So many yeses came through. So step 9, business tracking. This one is so incredibly important. Okay. And there's a couple different areas that we're going to look at tracking in. Now, I mentioned in one of the last steps that step 9 is going to teach you how you can use your sourcing and DM numbers to secure your 10K month. Okay. And this is why, because the more you know, the more you grow. If you don't know what's happening in your business is not going to be growing. Could be going backwards and you don't even know about it, right? So you need to track what's happening in your business in order to grow to your full potential. And tracking allows you to see what's working, what's not working, and where you can review and revise to actually see more results. So we're going to cover DM percentages, enrollment percentages, and profit and loss tracking, okay? Alrighty, so DM and enrollment percentages. So tracking these numbers gives us a clear indication of how much outreach we need to do in order to enroll the amount of clients we need to reach our 10K goal, right? So when I was talking before about if you're doing outreach at the moment and you're not seeing results, you need to start doing more. And this is going to tell you exactly how much more you need to do, okay? Now, anyone who likes numbers is going to love this. Honestly, I hate numbers. I'm learning to love them. They're growing on me. Again, I was like that. I was not the mathematician in high school, but through business, I'm certainly learning to become one. So how does this work? Okay. If 1 out of 10 DM conversations you have converts to a call and 2 out of 5 calls convert to clients, you need to be hitting 50 DM convos to get 5 calls to get 2 clients. So let's take a step back for a second and ask yourself, how many DM conversations are you having at the moment? Are you having 5? Are you having 10? Are you having 20? Megan said she's having 0. So if it takes, if 1 out of 10 DMs convert to a call, but you're having 0 DMs, naturally, you're going to be having 0 calls. There you go. Kayla said 10. And again, these are just statistics. These are just numbers I'm throwing out there for you. These numbers are going to look different, depending on how well you actually execute each of these processes. So I want you to start to look at how many DM conversations do you need to have so that you can get 1 call scheduled. And that's going to give you your first statistic. And then the second statistic you're going to look at is how many calls do you need to have before you make 1 sale? Okay, looking at that. And once you're clear on those numbers, you can then get clear on how many calls you need to have in order to hit your goal. So if we're looking at these numbers I've shared now, statistically, what this means is that those 2 calls would need to be $5,000 sales each in order to hit your 10K goal, if that's all of the engagement that you're doing. Okay, now let's look a little bit different numbers. If you're working with lower ticket products, and you're not selling a $5,000 product, and you know that 50 convos equals 5 calls, which equals 2 sales, you need to then duplicate your activity to match your prices. Okay, so multiply those numbers to get the specifics that you need to be doing. So if you're selling a $2,000 product, then you need to get 5 clients in 1 month to hit that $10,000 goal. So if we're looking at those numbers that we shared before, that looks like 250 conversations minimum, 25 calls minimum, and that'll get you your 10 sales, right? Feel like that last number was wrong. That should have been 5 sales. But anyways, we know I'm not a mathematician, but you guys get the point, right? So this is really important to wrap your head around so that you can start to understand, well, if these are what your current percentages is, this is what your conversions currently look like, then how much do you need to actually step up your activity to start hitting these income goals that you want to be reaching? So the difference between calls and conversations, to answer Serene's question, conversations are the DM conversations, right? That you are having in order to set those calls, to schedule those calls. And the calls are the physical face-to-face Zooms or the audio calls that you're having where you're actually selling your product. So that really closes off that what I wanted to show you there about the DM and enrollment percentage. So really come back to these slides and start to do some maths for yourself. And I'm sure there's going to be a bit of a rude shock that you get when you really do look at your numbers and you actually get clear on how little that you might be doing. Or maybe you are doing a lot, okay? And it's just a matter of going, okay, well, if I am actually booking 25 calls and I'm only closing one of them, then maybe it's not about my numbers, but it's about my actual sales skills, right? So you can use your numbers to see where it is you need to work on. But then we want to look at profit and loss. Now, the reason this is so important, guys, is because you need to be tracking your numbers in your business. You need to be tracking what's coming in, what's going out, and you need to know that you've made 10K in order to know that you've made 10K, right? So if you're not tracking the income that's coming in your business, if you're not tracking the sales you make, you might actually be closer than you think to hitting your first 10K month, but because you're not tracking those areas, you don't actually have that clarity. So track your income, track your expenses, and track your profit and loss. And profit and loss is as simple as taking your income, subtracting your expenses from it, and then whatever it gives you, if it's going to be a positive number, then it's profit. If it's a negative number, then that's loss. So that's as simple as that is. And by tracking these numbers, you know, you're going to know where you sit in comparison to your 10K goal, and you're going to know how much more you need to be showing up. And that's ultimately going to boost you and motivate you as well. When you have the clarity around what you need to do, you're going to be more driven naturally to actually get the work done. So you feel good about that tracking numbers section that we talked about? I know it's a little bit technical than some of the other points, but it is one of the most important things you need to be doing in your business. And the 10th and final step that we're going to dive into today, you guys have done so incredible sticking around for this whole thing, is community and networking. So we're going to leverage our online, our client, and our external communities to really help us hit that 10K goal. So community fosters warm leads who are ready to invest. It builds trust and rapport, which increases the likelihood of sales. It expands your network into new warm markets. And it also creates a brand culture, which increases the lifespan of your audience and the desirability to be a part of it as well. So what I want you to know about community is a community of 10 warm leads is easier to sell to than a cold audience of 100 cold leads. Okay. So if you're sitting there and you're thinking my community is only small, I only have 40 or 200 people. And then there's people who have 5,000, 10,000, 50,000 audience members. Don't think that they have the advantage because they've got more, right? You have the advantage because you have a tighter knit circle. You have the ability to create closer and warmer connections with the people in front of you, which, as I said before, a community of a smaller amount of warm leads is going to sell easier than a large audience of cold leads. Now, in saying that, you want to expand or create communities in these 3 ways. So having an online community, if you think about my Build Your Business Facebook community, that's an online community. It's a Facebook group that provides extra value. But then there's also my social media account, you know, which is the broader community, right? Where anyone can enjoy, engage, connect, all of that. Then we have client communities. And your client communities is really creating that high level experience for the people who are investing in you, creating an exclusive inner circle. a unique space for them to be a part of, which extends the lifespan of the client's journey. It gives them something they want to remain a part of. And furthermore, it gives them something they want to invite people into. That's where your referrals then come into play. And the third and final thing is external communities. So this is an awesome opportunity for tapping into new audiences, doing collaborations, guest events, meeting new people. That's where you want to go to get featured and tap into other people's networks. So if you can start brainstorming on these 3 communities and seeing how you can start leveraging them to extract leads that maybe you haven't connected with before, that's going to help you really build yourself towards this income goal you're working towards. And in saying that, guys, that wraps up the 10 steps that I wanted to share with you today. Okay, so I know there was so much that we consumed there, and I know this is definitely something you're gonna want to come back and replay over, maybe look at some numbers again, maybe start getting some finer details down from the recording. So it is all saved in the Facebook group for you, and we are going to dive into a Q&A in just one moment, but I also have an opportunity, 2 opportunities actually, that I want to share with you guys, so make sure you keep on watching. Now, I've got 2 different levels of opportunities that I want to share. One is one that I've not yet introduced to anyone before, but the first option, well, this is for the person who is ready to go all in. Okay, so if you feel like these 10 steps that we dove into today have really shone light on areas of your businesses that you want to start expanding into further, then this option is 100% for you. Okay, now you've probably heard of it before, but I do run a business academy, which is the Aligned Coaching Academy. And what this academy is for is to help you dive deeper into understanding and also applying the systems that you need to build a 6-figure business for yourself. And I know we do have one of our academy members on here live, and a couple did pop off earlier on. However, this academy is the space for online business owners who are wanting to really get down to business, lay it all out, dive deep into all the foundations you need, and to build a strong business for yourself. Okay. So what the academy teaches you is this long list of things plus more. Okay. It is action-packed with value. So the entrepreneur's mindset, creating a clear vision, setting business goals, niching down, personal branding, social media optimization, attraction marketing, content creation, creating your offer, ethics of business, ideal client profiling, pricing your program, signing clients, funnels and marketing, mastering sales, contracting agreements, systems for success, and working in alignment. So all of these teachings have been condensed into 5 core modules for you to really help simplify the process of learning these things and applying them to your business. So if this is for you, of course, it's not going to be for everyone. But if it is for you and you have taken part in this workshop today, then I am offering you an exclusive workshop discount of $1,000 off for attending today, okay? But what you'd need to do is scan that QR code and schedule a call to actually reserve that price for yourself, okay? So if that is something you'd like to learn more about, then please do reach out to me and schedule that call, because the Academy is the most incredible place for someone who is ready to go all in on their business, okay? We go over everything we went over today and so much more, and it's exactly what you need to build beyond that 10K mark. Now, if you're not quite ready for the Academy, okay, do not worry, as I know it is not for everyone. This option 2 that I'm going to share with you today is something I've not even yet announced on socials, and you guys have the very first opportunity to take part in this. So this is for the person who is ready to take their first steps or to dive just a little bit deeper into expanding their knowledge around business. So what I'm excited to share with you guys is the Business Builder Hub. And what this is an online space which supports education, creation, and connection for entrepreneurs. So this is a business membership platform. Now, what's inside the hub is every single month I release exclusive Zoom trainings, which you can attend live, and we break down business-specific topics, systems, strategies, sales, marketing, social media, and all of it, whatever it is. And it gives you that space to be able to not only learn, but also ask me questions. It's essentially like a workshop, but even more in depth than what we've gone into today. Okay. It's all of the secrets, all of the steps you need to take. There's also downloadable resources that are dropped every single month that you can take, you can download, and you can actually use them in your business. They're ready to go. Things like profit and loss trackers, content creation elements, enrollment call scripts, all of these sorts of resources. And then there's also live monthly business Q&As and community challenges that are run across the month as well. So glad you think it looks amazing, Megan. Now, the BB Hub is for you if you're an online business owner, if you're looking for practical support and tools to help you grow your business, if you want to up-level your social media and start closing more sales as well, and if you want to access high-ticket trainings at a very low and affordable price. And you just wait, guys, it is very low and affordable when I say that. And when I say that the price is low, I cannot express enough that is not a reflection of the value of the content. The content that is provided is high ticket stuff. Okay, this is stuff that I even teach inside of my business academy. So what you're going to be looking at if you're going to take part inside the Business Builder Hub, this is a glance of what's ahead in April. Okay, now I break down the systems that we went over today across series of months to dive in even more depth into each. I grant you access to specific resources and trainings from our business academy as they correlate with the months that go by. And I'm also offering a free one-to-one business audit, a 15-minute session, one-to-one, you and me, for anyone who joins the membership platform in April. Okay, so this is a workshop exclusive offer. If you do want to join in April and take part of this community, then you will have that business audit with me. Now, the membership pricing is just $25 per month for anyone who is attending this workshop today. Okay, but you have to register today in order to secure this pricing, and that is a lifetime price for you. Okay, so the regular pricing of this hub is $50 per month, but for anyone who joins from the workshop today, you get lifetime access at that $25 mark with that bonus access to the 15-minute business audit. So with that said, I'm going to leave these QR codes up on the screen for you guys as we step into our Q&A segment now. If you would like to take part in the Business Builder Hub, make sure you click on that QR code. And if you want to schedule a call for the Academy, you can use the other one. But with that said, let's open up space for questions. So type comment yes or no in the chat box if you have any questions that you would like to go over with me while we are still on this live call. And it can be connected to what we've spoken about today, or it could be a general business question that you have connected to your own business. So type yes if you have a question, type no if you do not have a question, so I'm not waiting on anyone. Awesome. So Serene has a question. Unmute yourself, Serene, and ask away. I'm losing my voice from all this talking. Oh, I've got to unmute you. Let me unmute you. There you go. You can unmute yourself.
Hi. How are you? Thank you for today. It was very, very, very enlightening. Thank you.
No worries. I'm so glad you found it helpful.
Okay. I want to ask a question. When I do the Flow Desk newsletter emails, they always come either in junk or the promotions folder. And I searched and they said you have to use your own website. But my name for like the Powerful Woman is taken. I can buy it, but it's very expensive at the moment. However, I was wondering if I can buy a domain of just my name, like SereneSeri.com, just for a while until I can afford that. Is that possible? So the newsletter can come on the inbox.
Yeah, so when it comes to like Flowdesk or MailChimp or any of these providers, the reason why it goes spam is because it's an automated system. So it's technically like a robot that's sending the email, sending that mass email at once. So that's why it's automatically considered spam. So one thing you could do first and foremost that won't cost you any money is just having your email list members, like sending out an email or putting out a notice on social media to tell them to mark your email as not spam, so that when they do receive like your newsletter, it's not going to go to the spam inbox. That's one thing.
I did that.
and that didn't work. Well, then
No.
when it comes to your question, you just need to go on to like GoDaddy or like some other domain provider and search up if your name is available. If your name is available, then do it, and there's nothing wrong with having, your domain connected to your name rather than a company anyway, because at the end of the day, like your branding is you, the powerful woman is an extension of you. So if anything, it would probably be really affected to have it as your name that is coming up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
You'll
you.
definitely have to check on those websites and make sure it's available, because it's crazy. It's a competitive place with domain names. So you do have to, of course, check and see what variations would be available for you.
Okay, great. Thank you.
No worries at all. Does anyone else have any questions? Just type yes or no in the chat box. I saw Kelsey said no. I'm so glad that you found the workshop amazing though. Awesome, Georgia. Let me ask you to unmute.
Hi, how are we doing?
Hi, long time no speak.
I know, been busy, lots happened, but catch up with you soon. I just wanted to ask a couple of questions. So one of the things that I offer for my clients is I do workbooks, but I get obviously very excited about all these things that I can put in the workbook that they end up being sort of too long for them and overwhelming. And I realize that. So how do you break that down to just the really simple stuff, or do you even use workbooks? Is it recommended that you don't do that sort of thing? Or
well, workshops are very much like an additional like learning aid, and I would recommend using them because like as an option for people, because everyone learns differently. Some people could simply learn off listening to a podcast, but other people need, like, for example, with these workshops, they have visual cues because a lot of the time people are visual learners and need to have that. And then there's also the people who want to know how to apply what they're learning, which is where a workbook can be really good to guide them through those steps. So I would say it's definitely a great resource to have. Plus, it just adds more value to the package that you're offering, right? And it also becomes something that you can sell as an individual product. So definitely use it if it's something that you want to be using. But your question is, how do you simplify it down?
Yeah.
So the first thing I would do is, if you've got clients who are using this workbook already, get feedback from them. So ask them, what about this workbook? Keep on saying the wrong word. What about this workbook is overwhelming or confusing for you? What is working in this workbook? What do you really like about it? And then what aspects of it don't you like about it, right? You get that physical feedback from the people that are actually using it first, and then from there move forward to revise it. And when I am making a workbook, say, for example, with my business academy, so there are workbooks that go along with each of the modules in that. What the workbooks are is simply the activities or the journal prompts that I shared in the module in that order as well, so that they can go through that and actually do all those activities that I was talking about. And you really want to make sure that you do keep it simple. You don't overcomplicate it. This comes back to the value ladder, right? Like what is the time delay that you're creating if you're putting too much in, right? So how can you extract things to keep it very specific and to the point and directly connected to the specific steps that they need to be taking? So does that help a little bit there?
Yeah, no, definitely. It does.
Do you have any questions?
Yeah, I just had one other question. When you're DMing, how do you actually find the ideal clients to DM? Because a lot of the ones that I sort of come across are other coaches that are also trying to do the same thing. So
yeah. And so this is the hard part at the start of the process, but once you get this down pat, it becomes a lot easier. So it does take experimentation, it does take trial and error, but this is why you want to create that source list. Because when you do come across accounts that are like, wow, this account is action-packed with ideal clients and they're following me back, like this is one I need to always come back to, then you've got that saved as like a reference point. But really it's just a matter of starting by, I like to think about, like, for, if we're looking at business and mindset, like where is someone who wants to learn about business and mindset? Are they at certain certification schools? Are they listening to certain podcasts? Are they following certain accounts that maybe you're also following right now? Like, think about yourself, you know, you're both business and mindset. And so is your ideal client looking for the same thing as you?
Yeah.
Okay. So your ideal client is looking for the same thing as you. So what are the accounts that you go to learn? Or what are the accounts that you go to be inspired by, right? And there's a starting point for you. But thinking about podcasts, thinking about schools, thinking about influencers, thinking about specific hashtags, and it's all just a matter of trial and error until you actually start to find the quality ones, what works for you and what doesn't work for you as well. So if people are looking for, you know, fitness enthusiasts, look up different gyms, like wherever your ideal client would go, that's where you want to go online. So it is a matter of trial and error, which I do want you to, like, I want to express a lot, is you will go onto certain accounts and it may take you a little while to find those hotspots. But once you find those hotspots, it then keeps expanding and expanding and expanding. So then the process of actually doing this sourcing becomes a lot easier over time.
Yep. Okay, that makes sense.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Did you have any more questions?
No, that was it for now, I think.
Awesome. Well, they were great questions. I'm sure they were very helpful for everyone. And Serene, your hand's up again. Did you have another question, or is your hand meant to be down now? Last time you can let me know.
Hey, yeah, sorry. Just one more question, please.
Awesome.
When do you think it would be the right time to start a course? Or do you think, should I offer like one-on-ones first before the course, or a course straight up, and when would be the right time to start a course?
Really good question there. So I would start with one-to-one first, only because working on that one-to-one level is going to give you the capacity to be able to experiment, to be able to get clear on what you actually enjoy teaching, what you're good at teaching, and also see what there is a need for. So this comes back to that market research aspect, right? We can assume that our audience wants something, but that might not be the case. And you could invest all your time into creating this beautiful course that doesn't sell because there's not a want or a need for it, you know? So by doing that one-to-one service as your first step, you get to work directly with people and hear from their mouth week after week what is not working for them. What do they need help with? And you can move them through that journey. And from there, that's going to guide you in your course creation process. So I would 100% start with one-to-one purely for the exposure that it gives you to your actual ideal client and the knowledge that you can gain surrounding what would actually be the best course to provide to your audience. And so with all of the courses I offer, I've only ever offered my courses after I know there's a need for it. You know, I started building my business out on one-to-one, and then I realized there was a need for a lower ticket service that still supported mindset. So that's where my mindset group program came from. And then as I continued working on a one-to-one level, I found that there was a need for business coaching because everyone was coming to me. I was repetitively teaching the same things to different people. And so then instead of doing that and spending all that time repeating myself, I created my academy, which packages it all up and enables me to serve people as a collective through those areas. So by starting with one-to-one, it'll allow you to be guided toward what the best course will be for you to actually launch. So does that make sense?
Yes, so much. Thank you so much.
Right? Like getting that actual like that actual proximity to one-to-one clients is going to make your courses so much more valuable when the time comes that you do actually create and launch them.
Awesome. Thank you.
No worries at all. So did you have any more questions there, ladies? Give me a no in the chat box or a yes in the chat box. Awesome. Serene's all good. Amazing, guys. Well, thank you so much for asking those questions and bringing that value to this portion of the workshop. And with that said, we are going to start to wrap up now, because this has been an absolute massive one, packed with value. I hope you guys have taken so much away from it. And please, if you feel drawn to scanning either of those QR codes, make sure you do so. You can either become a member of the Build Your Business Builder Hub and continue this development journey with me, or you can have a chat about the Business Academy. But until next time, guys, thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you so much for coming along, and I hope you took so much value away. Go take the action and build your businesses to those 10K months now. You've got everything you need. It's all about the action now. So see you later, guys.